If you're not already subscribed, do it now, because a full review of the ASUS GTX 980M wielding G751 featured here is coming, where we'll look at battery life, physical characteristics, heat, thermal throttling, power balancing, and more. But for today's video, it is all about the features and specs, and especially the performance of NVIDIA's brand new mobile graphics cards, the GeForce GTX 980M and 970M, including SLI numbers for the latter. Corsair Gaming RGB keyboards feature precision Cherry MX RGB key switches for 16.8 million color per key backlighting for virtually unlimited customization. Click now to learn more. Both the 970M and the 980M feature the same new Maxwell architecture as the desktop 970 and 980, with the same improvements to both performance and power use, so an effective doubling in efficiency. This allowed NVIDIA to spec them closer to their desktop non-M cousins than ever before, and notebook makers to deliver some amazingly thin, cool, and fast designs. We also get the same technological improvements, so on top of existing stuff like streaming games to Shield devices, recording and streaming gameplay with Shadow Play, and automatically updating drivers and configuring games for balanced visuals and performance with GeForce Experience, we get dynamic super resolution, so basically the same super sampling technique we showed you guys here, but now easier to apply. MFAA, or multi-frame anti-aliasing, a less demanding way to get similar image quality to MSAA, and VXGI, their cool new voxel-based global illumination technique, all of which you can learn more about in my GTX 980 review here. They also get Battery Boost 2.0, essentially the same frame rate limiter designed to optimize battery life while gaming without being plugged into the wall as the 1.0 version, but now with automatic profiles via GeForce Experience, and from what I've seen, it actually works now to boot. More detail to come in my full G751 review. Alright, so with all that preamble out of the way, how do these bad boys perform? Well, actually, there's a bit more preamble, sorry. Straight apples to apples comparisons are tough with laptop GPUs because unless you've got, an unlimited number of laptops, or you've got one of those rare, practically non-existent laptops where you can just swap the graphics cards on MXM modules, it's hard to have the whole system be a constant. So basically, we just had to do our best with it. Our desktop runs a 5960X with 4 of its cores disabled and the clock speed locked at 3 GHz, kind of the middle of the pack compared to all the laptop CPUs. And then our laptops all run reasonably similar Core i7 quad cores ranging from the 2-point-something high to 3-point-something low gigahertz typical boost speeds. I know this isn't ideal, and I know it's not perfectly scientific, but given that we're running at basically max details in all the games, you can see the exact settings, by the way, in the link in the video description. I don't expect CPU bottlenecks to be an issue here anyway. Which leads us finally into performance analysis. Right out of the gate, things are looking good in Tomb Raider, with the 970M leading NVIDIA's previous mobile flagship, the 880M, by a significant margin, and the new 980M trailing its desktop brother by a mere 10%. The Aorus X7 Pro here, though, is the star of the show because with its dual 970Ms and Tomb Raider scaling so well in SLI, it just runs away with it. Far Cry 3 is actually a fairly similar story. The 970M once again beats the 880M by about 10%, but here we see the other side of the SLI story where we get some improvement, but whether a new SLI profile is needed or there's some other limitation, the X7 Pro's dual 970Ms don't provide much of a benefit over the single 980M in the ASUS G751. Crysis 3, being the incredibly graphically demanding game that it is, has our mobile graphics cards trailing their desktop equivalents by more than the previous 2 games, with the 980 and 970 holding 25% and 40% leads, respectively. 970M SLI, though, once again looks like a stellar option here, with the X7 Pro narrowly edging out even the desktop GTX 980. Now, we recently published our benchmarking procedure for Middle-earth Shadow of Mordor, and quite a few of us around the office are really having fun with it, so I figured this is a great time to add it to our test suite. Nothing too dissimilar to our other games here in terms of results, though, so I guess I'll just start this video's conclusion now by pointing out just how remarkable it is that compared to 7000 series notebook GPUs, the last time I owned a notebook that I gamed on really a lot, we are no longer looking at a full generational performance gap between mobile and desktop GPUs anymore. Sometimes it was more. So the cup half full perspective here is that the best PC gaming experiences are now available in devices that you can fairly easily move around the house or to and from school or to a friend's house. I mean, it's amazing. The cup half empty perspective though, and it's one that I really can't ignore, is that just like with CPUs, desktop gamers who don't care about mobility are getting slightly beefed up versions of power optimized chips that are really made for mobile instead of the monsters that they used to get, because even companies the size of NVIDIA and Intel aren't going to build completely different lineups of products just to squeeze a little bit more performance out on the desktop. A relatively stagnant market compared to the vibrant growth of particularly gaming notebooks. Doom and gloom aside though, it's a great time to be a PC gamer whether you use a desktop or a notebook, and the 980M and 970M both look like fantastic chips from a pure performance perspective. Stay tuned though, because like I said, I'm planning to do a full review of the G751 980M notebook that I used for these benchmarks here, and over on NCIX Tech Tips, I'm planning on releasing a closer look at the Aorus X7 Pro, so make sure you check that out. Speaking of checking things out, today's episode sponsor, Ting, is a cell phone service provider that you should definitely check out. Their tagline is mobile that makes sense, and I would have to agree with the way that they structure their service. It makes a ton of sense. With Ting, you aren't locked into some arbitrary contract with a certain number of minutes and then a certain amount of data and then a bunch of overage charges if you exceed that. They only bill you for what you actually use. So whether you're a light user or a texting fiend, you pay a fair amount for your service. As a Canadian, this is pretty unbelievable to me, but on Ting, the average monthly bill per device is only $21. Absolutely crazy. So guys, head over to linus.ting.com to check out what they have to offer, and while you're there, you should test out their savings calculator to see if you'll be saving money on your monthly mobile bill by switching to Ting. They claim that 98% of Americans would, so it's probably worth a try. You just key in your last few months of bills, and they tell you how much you would have paid on Ting. Also, if you use our link, again, that's linus.ting.com, you can get a $25 credit on a new device or $25 in service credit when you sign up. So thanks to Ting for sponsoring this episode. Thanks to you guys for watching. Like the video if you liked it. Dislike it if you disliked it. Leave a comment letting me know if your feelings were more complicated than this. Also check out the link in the video description. You can buy a cool t-shirt like this one. You can give us a monthly contribution, or you can just change your Amazon bookmark to one with our affiliate code. All those things help us out a lot. They help us, like, you know, buy all these gaming notebooks. Actually, I didn't buy these gaming notebooks. I could send them back and stuff. Well, maybe we wouldn't have to send them back. Maybe I could keep the gaming notebooks then. Anyway, the point is, thanks again for watching, and as always, don't forget to subscribe.